Hello, one and all, from our broadcast booth somewhere in Hyrule for a link to the past Randomizer Tournament 2019 edition. I'm Leslie Pro, and I am joined today by Hammer Bro, and if that naming convention does not roll off the tongue, quite frankly, I don't know what does. How you doing today?
I'm doing really well, man. I am looking forward to yet another race. My ALTTPR fix just keeps getting hammered day after day, and I'm honestly thrilled about it. So I'm looking for another good race. Teto took the first one. I'm going to see if maybe SuperNinTaylor has something to say, maybe bring this to a game 3. How about you? What are you looking for in this one?
What I'm looking forward to? Hey, I know it's early on in the tournament. We already had the qualifiers, but I think some Game 3 hype up in here could really electrify the tournament.
That's a fair point. We've got two guys who are really, really good at their execution and have some really nice routing to go with it. So hopefully we'll have a fun seed that isn't too terrible.
Already had enough terrible seeds in the qualifiers. But we'll leave it at that, because now we're on to the fun part.
Yep, and they should be starting in just a moment if my internal math is correct. So I am unfamiliar with this sprite that Teto is using. Have you seen it before?
I can honestly say that that's the first time I've seen that sprite. Perhaps chat's seen it before.
Oh, I'm sure someone in chat has seen it before. All right, so if we want to go for the fortune-telling portion of reading our codes up top, I've got 2 green pendants. Do you read anything into that today?
Now, I'm not one for reading into that outside of the hash, but or maybe that's a superstition. I don't really look too much into it. But I see a mirror and a hammer. As we're getting underway, this is a standard mode. Wow, that is some shade from Uncle right there.
I mean, it's not necessarily shade. He might just be looking out for us.
Or looking out for number 1, but... Or maybe he is looking out for Link, hard to say. So here in standard mode, there are some changes to version 31. See, we already have the sword, my understanding is, because I bet we got a quick map check. A pendant at Eastern and a red crystal at Hera, as well as a crystal in the desert. So now that we have our sword, we are after a bomb drop. Oh, we already got a moon pearl. Nice.
I don't know, man. That early sword makes me think Uncle's at least kind of looking out for us.
Yep. As SuperNinTaylor looking for drops and getting hearts instead.
Yeah, this is always the fun, in quotation marks, part of standard. So you get to play the run around, hope there's bombs somewhere game.
Well, there's a boomerang. Perhaps the bombs are in the stun prize.
It's definitely something our runners will be checking before they get too much farther, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can think of a good spot where that check can be made. Well, actually, Tito's going to make it right now, and it's a recovery heart, so that's not what we're looking for at this juncture, although that could come in handy.
Yeah, the information's nice to have at the very least. All right, we are coming up on the end of the first portion of our little run here through escape. Still no bombs, so we'll see if either of our runners has any luck with that.
Stay alive, Tito. There we go. I think he threw that boomerang in the wrong direction. I think he meant to throw it to the right. I mean, we've all done that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he definitely didn't throw it in the right direction, but
Yeah, although I swear my aging controller's done that to me more often than I'd care to admit in recent times. But that's another story for another time.
see, my aging controller does that, but so does my new one, so I'm pretty sure it's just on me.
Yeah, touche. So now Taylor is aware of the stun prize being a recovery heart. He's just gonna get right on out of here on to the second portion of escape.
I'm honestly somewhat surprised that neither of our runners are going out of their way to smack some more guards. I think they're both hoping that the rat prize pack might have what they need.
Or the ropes.
That is a fair point. They are here in a plenty, although SuperNinTaylor just goes right by them.
Can't say I blame them because stopping to beat them all up because they take 2 hits, bit time consuming. He's just blazing it right on out of there. He's not even wasting time. I see where he's checking. No luck with the rodent pack. Well, the pack of 3, I mean.
Yeah, the only way this is honestly really problematic is if it gets to the point where the gloves are down here or something blocking the gloves are down here and we don't have access to them. Otherwise, you can usually grab the power gloves and then just meander your way down here from the way we normally do it in open mode. So we'll see. But for now, the information of what's in those 3 chests is just going to have to stay hidden.
Yep, it remains a mystery.
Of course.
Yeah, that's just the luck that I would have playing the lottery, and Taylor is heading right back. Can he do this? Or is that push block gonna stop him?
I don't know. We'll find out in just a second here. Yeah, no,
That
that's not
push
going to work,
block's gonna
bud.
stop him cold. It was a good try, though.
It was. We'll see. We'll see what ends up being there eventually. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Because if it's later, then they're probably going to have to go back through escape again, and that's just not fun for anyone.
Yep, that's the way you would do that nowadays. And we get a tree pull, and well, that's nice. Get 20 rupees per.
Yeah, that'll definitely come in handy.
that could be something to remember for later, is that is a magic cape at the lumberjack tree. Now, the only place where we absolutely have to have that is if there's an item at Bumper Cave. So that'll be the location to look out for to see if we need Aga for lumberjack tree or not.
It also takes away one of our potential routes for Aghanim requirements. So now that we know the cape's there, we're just going to be looking for Master Sword and Lamp at this point.
On the flip side, we are looking for a hammer and gloves, or both gloves, to get into the Dark World. Neither runner picking up that first piece of heart. That might be by design.
Yeah, most runners of this caliber pass up on pieces of heart, even at this really early stage.
If you're running expert mode, you're probably not doing that. Just saying.
That's a fair point, but I'm hoping, at the very least, that our health is going to be a little more friendly than expert mode.
Meanwhile, we so far have an ether medallion pickup in Blind's hideout.
Not a bad grab, not terribly useful at this very moment, although you could use it in Mini Moldorm Cave if you were so inclined.
Yeah, if you're low on bombs and not feeling the walking along the bottom strat, yeah, that'd be a good, safe way to clean that up. And there's other combat applications for that, but we'll get into that later. And speaking of combat, down the well is a bow. And a hammer. So far, so good. That's like the pod kill set right there. A mushroom and a bottle.
That bottle is super useful. It also means that SuperNinTaylor probably isn't going to forget to check Sick Kid this go-around.
And we're selling pieces of heart for the low, low price of 100 rupees. The Deku Scrubs in another game would probably learn a good lesson on how much something should be from that vendor.
I feel like they probably take their economy lessons from Zora instead.
Fair point. Time to buy some bombs, and Tito's doing just that.
Yep, we only have a couple more checks here for Kakariko, so outside of these next two checks having bombs, which would be ironically cruel, that's definitely a good grab.
But it's just 20 rupees this time at Sick Kid.
SuperNinTaylor making the same choice. And as Teto showing us, nothing explosive for those two picks, so definitely going to need those bombs.
We've all forgotten checks like that. That's all I'm going to say about game 1. We're on to game 2. Ooh,
how about a button net?
Yeah, up at the library. I mean, our runners might be inclined to grab that. They might not be. I guess it depends on the runner and the situation, really.
I would honestly be surprised.
Rod. That is an ice rod at the races, at the old Kakariko race game. Yeah, better to pick that up now, just in case.
And honestly, that is a terrible item to see there, because you're walking through and you're like, oh, darn it, I'm going to have to pick that up. And now I'll bet both runners are thinking in their heads, you know, if I don't go pick this up, Turtle Rock's going to be a crystal. And if I do go pick this up, it's going to be a pendant. But I would rather not make the mistake of not picking it up. So here goes the long walk.
I agree. That's one of those where, honestly, my mindset is I would rather not take the chance.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's most people's mindset, but it doesn't help the eye roll that accompanies it.
Oh, believe me, this randomizer has produced plenty of those.
I mean, even into this tournament, there have been several eye rolling moments, and we're not even a week in so far.
Yeah, the qualifiers also had those for those who missed that.
I didn't go anywhere near those. I am a calm out of requirement more than anything else.
Meanwhile, we got a divergence in route. S&T going south shore, Teto going right for Sahasrala's hut and eastern, which produces bombs for Rupee Horde and 10 arrows. On it, SuperNinTaylor's side, bombs, and that's a vanilla bomb pack, I might add. I used to play
You know,
this game through its entirety as a kid, checking everything, so yeah.
that 300 rupee pack that Tito grabbed in the back of Sahasrala's hut might be important. Depending on how many rupees are waiting for us in Mini Moldorm Cave, SuperNinTaylor may not have the option of taking out Zora in one shot. Alright, so although not in logic, if Tito were so inclined, he could go ahead and get rid of Eastern Palace, knock out Armos Knights. And there's another 300.
Well, we're getting our big bucks, but hopefully no whammies. Meanwhile, on S&T side, more arrows. There's a lift upgrade. So SuperNinTaylor's already got Dark World access. And there were 3 bomb packs in there. Holy smokes.
Dark World access and the ability to not have to go through escape again to check those 3 chests in the back. So I'm sure that's on the back of his head right now.
True, but right now in his forefront, trying to avoid those crabs because they deal 2 hearts of damage. Many a runner have died on this trek to Ice Rod Cave because those crabs hit so hard, and when they move left to right, they move so fast.
Yeah, I feel like the developers of this game went, so you can have something that does tempered sword damage to certain enemies if you want, but you're going to have to come and get it.
That was a heart container, and S&T's out of there. Meanwhile, Tito's heading for the Eastern Dark Rooms, while, again, not in logic, but certainly very doable. And for newer runners, this first set of Dark Rooms would be the first ones that are worth learning, as they're definitely the easiest ones to learn.
Yeah, I would say definitely either these or getting Uncle out of, or not Uncle, the old man out of the cave would be the first set that I'd go through.
One or two, take your pick on that one. Meanwhile, S&T's going right for Hype Cave, ignoring Sanctuary for now. He might have an idea of how to route that in later, we shall see.
Tito, meanwhile, is still looking for that one last item.
Red Boomerang and Hype Cave, along with a piece of heart. Other than that, Hype Cave still lacking its luster that it once had. Speaking of pieces of heart, that was what was in the Eastern Big Chest, so to play, okay, we got a map check, and this is interesting. We have a seed potentially where flippers may not be required, as our 2 pennants would require them, and our other 5/6 is Thieves Town.
Yep, water pendant so far. That's kind of an interesting duo. Chat showing no love for the red boomerang, still giving Hype Cave a 0 out of 10.
I'd say Stumpy ranks even better because Stumpy had a Master Sword.
Oh yeah, definitely. That is a really, really nice, still fairly early game find.
And 1 pity point from chat. Wow. Now we go digging. Anywhere between 1 and 30 digs for a random prize, although I think this amount of rupees, that random prize might not be enough to convince SuperNinTaylor from stopping. Well, when getting the prize, because you really want to dig up money. Because shortage of money, you don't have enough to go into pod. Ooh, that would convince me to stop. A hook shot.
Yeah, 21 digs for the hook shot. I would deem that worth it.
Definitely worth it with all the stuff you can do there. And while not in logic, SuperNinTaylor can go up Death Mountain now, if he sees fit to do so.
That's a fair point. I'm thinking that he may go to the right and, yep, go ahead and get that back of escape done. Which that's kind of amusing, waiting until about 18 and a half minutes in on a standard seed. Meanwhile, Teto is going to go ahead and fake flipper, so we'll see some new checks there.
We are also seeing some new checks on SuperNinTaylor's side to see what's in the back, and it was nothing of value outside of a piece of heart, at best. That island's got a red potion.
Yeah, although I feel as if that one's going to be left behind since we already do have a bottle. A little bit of indecision on SuperNinTaylor's side. They're deciding to save and quit.
Deciding to start at Link's house instead. Interesting.
Still a little bit of indecision. I feel like about the only play he has at this point. Okay, we're going to do a fake flipper. Never mind. I was going to say that he was going to head over towards pod, but that is almost definitely not going to be the case now.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 to add on to something in chat. For those who missed it, there's a 1.5 second delay between save and quit and being able to restart, which I'll admit, I get why they did it because of, oh, there's a shovel and 20 rupees hidden behind the flippers, so that's a thing.
One fetch quest found as another one is turned in. Mushroom just giving us 50 rupees, though.
And then Taylor opting not to reset to keep that mushroom, which with Canis Samaria could mean fake powder. There was a seed where that was used once by SuperNinTaylor to skip pedestal, as pedestal was powder.
I believe there was also a seed on Sunday that I commentated where that came into play. I want to say powder ended up being in like Turtle Rock or something ridiculous.
So it looks like SuperNinTaylor's choosing now to do Eastern, and I'm wondering if he's just going to clear Eastern and then go right into Pod right after. Which, while not as nearly clean or efficient as if you had Mirror, still pretty good in the routing sense.
Yeah, that's about the best you can do without Mirror on hand. Chat picking up on the artisanal explosives that Zora was trying to hand out.
Wait a minute, Taylor's got me debated as he's going for pod instead. I mean, it is a more reasonable play to go for pod over Eastern since Eastern's a pendant, so well, I see why he's doing it. I just don't know if I would have done that. It's also partially why I'm sitting here and not actually making it into this round, but oh well. Always next year.
Yeah, we'll see. The way that Randomizer is, if SuperNinTaylor ends up picking up, I don't know, the mirror in pod, then it's a brilliant play. And if we knew from Tito's perspective that the mirror was sitting in Eastern, then it would be a terrible play. So it's all about kind of playing the numbers and going with your gut. We'll see how it works out for SuperNinTaylor here.
As Tito's approaching the pyramid, had to be careful because that running plant enemy, don't know its name, but if that had hit, that would have been a death as it does 4 hearts of damage.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies here in the Dark World are no joke.
But that pyramid item is a joke, because it's just 3 bombs.
Especially as Tito's already sitting on a full pack of 10.
Yeah, this appears to be a catfish play. Which, considering Tito's already seen Zora's Domain, this is the only good time to go this way, as this is an isolated location otherwise. And Hookshot was 21 digs at the digging game.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that Teto is neglecting to go into pod. We'll see, based upon what SuperNinTaylor picks up here, if that ends up being a good choice or not.
Now, Teto opting not to pick up the plant before dropping down. If you do that, you move much faster on the water, which is more optimal in a movement sense. And Catfish only having an empty bottle in Teto is saying, I'm good, no thanks. Although, to be fair, Catfish was just cleaning the litter out of the water.
I wonder who left that bottle there, though.
No comment that I can make about that right now, as Tito's going for back of escape.
Yep, gonna go ahead and grab their piece of heart, 20 rupees, and burrito.
There's the big key from Pod.
Yep, SuperNinTaylor just continuing to plow through pod as quickly as they're able.
Meanwhile, it looks like Tito's going for the Village of Outcasts area.
Yep, so it looks like we're going to have a completely and totally different set of checks from our two runners, which is always nice from a watching standpoint.
We got a hammer yump attempt for SuperNinTaylor, and he hits it. It's only 20 rupees, but let's just say that's one of the more interesting sequence breaks you can do, in the sense that the bomb position and Link's position are so precise that it's double pixel perfect.
Looks like he picked up the flute there.
Ooh. That is an outstanding find. And also outstanding in Taylor's use of ether to freeze the Kadongos in place.
Yep, speaking of the conversation for uses of ether that we ended a little bit earlier.
This room's another good use. Ether Medallion will take Gibdos out in one hit, as well as...
Yeah, and it's really nice getting rid of those as they do 2 hearts apiece.
Tito's taking a Death Warp, while Taylor's in the dark basement getting a compass and a key.
Yep, outside of Flute, Pod not bringing up a whole lot of use. SuperNinTaylor playing some demented game of Ring Around the Bumper.
Well, you've got hard hat beetles coming at you, so that'd make that game tough no matter how you spin it. Meanwhile, Tito finds the big key for Skull Woods in the map chest. Now, the pinball chest is not guaranteed to have a key, but based off where Tito entered the dungeon, he wouldn't get soft locked if that weren't a key, because then he could just death warp back to the beginning. Or he's just going to save the key and take the Wallmaster elevator.
Not a bad choice. Save a key, take a Wallmaster.
And now he takes a bomb jump, takes out a mini Moldorm with the bomb. That is a 2-pixel bomb jump without the boots.
Alright, so assuming that all goes well, it looks like we are about a couple minutes away from our first crystal of the game here.
And we just got some information that Bumper Cave has just 3 bombs, so that takes the Aghanim requirement off the board.
Yep, Teto wanting to be careful here, though. Most enemies that are walking around here would take them out in one shot, so this is the one-hit KO round right now for him.
Yep, good thing there aren't any traps and chests. Meanwhile, then Taylor's fighting the turtle party in the dark, but gets taken down. That is a very difficult dark room. And he's bouncing. I do not blame him. That room is really difficult without a fire source.
Yeah, most definitely. And although Master Sword's better than Fighter Sword for that room, it still requires 2 hits per turtle, which is not fun when you can't see them.
Yeah, and after they get flipped over once, they flip back over and they're suddenly moving faster. That's a scary thought. So now we get our first look into Thieves Town. Tito starting off with a small key. Good thing he has hammer. Nice dodge of the fireball.
Yeah, that fireball shot always ends up a little closer than you want it to be.
Yeah, and sometimes you get hit by it as well. A SuperNinTaylor going for flute activation. I mean, even though it was out of logic when he got it, might as well.
Yep, grab your cheese and quackers because we're about to unstuck the duck.
So far, the front of Thieves Town giving us nothing, but it gives Tito a well-timed piece of heart that fills the container and gets his health back to full. Couldn't have been much more of an opportune time for that, considering where his health was.
Yeah, most definitely. It almost makes up for the fact that Teto was only a map find away from a completely and totally useless front 4.
Yeah, that's the sort of front four you never want to see for a thieves' town, whether it be a pendant or a crystal.
All right, SuperNinTaylor doing a little more logic breaking, saving the old man.
Now, for those wondering about Tito's routing, back in version, I must say, as far recent as version 28, the early Skull Woods play in Dark World was actually quite lucrative because or I would say about 50-50 as to whether you got something of value there, whether it was a pendant or a crystal.
Yeah, between the Village of Outcasts and the front portion of Skull Woods, there was frequently something good there. A lot like how in the much earlier versions, the very first sphere of items that you could grab frequently had some good stuff too. So I don't really blame the routing there. It's something that I still do frequently if I can, because even though there's only a couple items sitting there in Skull Woods, you usually end up with something that's helpful. Ooh,
Oh,
that's
that is
not
a
helpful.
tough death to take for Tito.
You know, this race really showing its teeth with this early Dark World access.
Yeah, the early Dark World access might be nice, but it certainly comes with its risks, as NinTaylor comes up with Cane of Burna, which puts Spike Cave in logic, and hey, there's a Tempered Sword, and there's the Flippers!
Honestly, something you really don't want to see at this given point, because flippers just open up a boatload of locations that you'd really rather just forget existed.
Well, we already know that they're all duds, but courtesy of Tito, NinTaylor does not know that. And without Titan's Mitts, we don't even have access to Ice Palace. Without having Mirror, no access to Swamp.
Yeah, but it's one more thing on their mind. I'll tell you what, though, this divergent routing is really, really interesting. They've pretty much split up and just not gone anywhere similarly at this point.
Well, there's a map, so Tito is now heading for the big chest.
Yep, blind being the one fight where his sword isn't going to really matter.
I believe NinTaylor is setting up for Harapot, and there's the mirror. It is in the Thieves' Town big chest.
That's certainly an odd location for that. It's definitely going to come in handy, though.
And there's the Harapot for NinTaylor. That is a rather recently discovered trick that allows you to skip the big key in Hera. And a classic pun from Blind.
Which is actually rather amazing, given that this game is coming up on 30 years old.
Yeah, it'll be 30 years old in like 2 years. Meanwhile, we do have our first crystal from Teto. And we're about to get a crystal from NinTaylor once Moldorm takes a few hits. And there's the compass. Did not see what NinTaylor picked up on the 4th floor, so If the big key's required, he'll have to go down and get it.
Alrighty, looks like we're going to have a check of Spiral Cave. Meanwhile, Teto going to go ahead and grab his hook shot from the digging game.
Yeah, NinTaylor died in the Dark Turtle room, which nasty without a fire source. I wouldn't do it, because I've tried it without a fire source, couldn't do it, so it's like, you better not.
Alright, so far not much on Death Mountain.
Looks like NinTaylor's gonna see what the flippers get him, which... Oh, wait. He might have been thinking he had the Titan's mitts, but no. Oh, he does not. So he's just gonna swim a lap. Or not.
Now he's going to go check out our favorite hobo friend.
While Teto gets his Master Sword off of Stumpy. And then dig up the Bombos medallion.
That's an interesting find. We still don't know which of our medallions are going to be required here, so it's nice to tick one off the list. It's also an alternative entry requirement for Ice Palace if you want to go down that dark and scary road.
Oh yes, I've been there.
Alright, so it looks like Teto is going to head up towards Death Mountain while SuperNinTaylor grabs his flipper location checks. So they're just going to be running over each other's steps for a couple minutes here.
So Tito's going about entering Death Mountain the traditional way.
Well, since Teto still hasn't picked up Flute from Pod, kind of stuck going that way without some major glitch help.
Yep, and this is NMG. No major glitches. So what I'm thinking is, based off of what we just got, is the overworld location that would have something would be Graveyard Ledge. Dungeon-wise, it would be Pendant Swamp.
Yeah, and once again, making that allusion to the flippers giving you locations you didn't really want to worry about.
Yep. Such is the nature of this rando, although I'm surprised NinTaylor did not check Spike Cave, although he could be heading for that now. Or not.
You know, we're still quite a few items away from Go mode at this point. The mitts and fire rod being the bare minimum required to finish up a seed.
We might also need boots if Deserts is locked by them.
Yeah, boots, Quake. There's a few possibilities here. Maybe the book if the mitts are sitting in desert. That would be terrible.
Or a book if the mitts are hanging out at one of the tablets. That would be really disgusting.
Yep, mitts on Ether Tablet. Calling it now.
Before anyone thinks of saying mitts on pedestal, it can't be that because Ice Palace is a pendant, as Teto goes for Harapot. These are pause buffers.
Seems like just a pixel or two off there, deciding to go the old-fashioned way.
I think he's resetting the dungeon. No, leaving. That's right, he doesn't have a fire source, so he can't do basement.
Yeah, this has been fairly unkind so far. Speaking of unkind, hello, Dead Rock.
Dead rocks are rude. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, I feel like Dead Rocks are an epitome of the troll enemy. Like, okay, we need to make an enemy that everyone, for absolute certain, is going to hate. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have them move periodically, sporadically, with very little pattern to their style. Then we're going to make sure they move quickly, so faster than Link walks. And we're going to make sure if you hit them, they just freeze for a good 10 seconds. But you can't go past them like you can everything else in this game. Nope, this is going to be a hard wall. Good luck.
Well, then again, they had to do something for the overworld because wall masters wall masters are in dungeons. Likes have a variant in this game that's in the dark world, so the light world needed something.
I feel like the falling cabbages on Death Mountain was enough. SuperNinTaylor just a couple minutes away from grabbing their mirror, and they are going to be happy to see that.
Cheeto's gonna be happy to find Tempered Sword.
Maybe a little less happy to see the flippers.
Yeah, probably because this could be a Swamp Palace play so easily.
Yeah, at this point, that's looking like what's going to be on the docket. Could also potentially be a pod play, but nope, we're going in the swamp. It will be interesting to see how much longer Teto holds out on pod, because that flute is a really nice movement mechanism. You know, I think in terms of item locations, we're pretty much stuck to, you got one more to kill there. There you go. We're pretty much stuck to Swamp and Graveyard Ledge. I think we've checked everything else between our two runners at this point. Alright, Tito's gonna be living life on the edge. There's our third medallion, which I guess that's one thing that's off the list, but not really what you wanted to see. Didn't want to see a death there either. Thankfully, it's fairly early in the dungeon, so you should be alright. Alright, SuperNinTaylor making quick work of the first 2 phases of blind, but this is where it potentially gets fun. Oh, there we go. One more. There we go. Alright, as Teto continues to give us a few more checks. We have finally gotten to the portion of the seed where we're looking for certain items and chat is coming up with the worst possible combinations that they can manage, some of which aren't even possible, but that's what makes them fun. And for those of you who are hoping for a PED seed, we still have a couple options. Fire Rod's definitely an option. Lamp? I don't... Nope, Lamp can't be an option because Eastern Palace requires it, unfortunately. Let's see. We could have Boots. If Boots could definitely be required and be sitting on PED, that would be terrible. Titan's Mid's not an option, though, so we still have a couple of things that are open. Yeah, you guys bringing up Kane. I completely and totally forgot about Kane of Samaria. That could be an option based upon where Ice Palace's keys are. Well, never mind on that. Fairly certain at this point in the game that full heart is not unwelcome since it's only Tito's 9th. That's a cool little hookshot trick from SuperNinTaylor, being able to hookshot right through the spikes. I didn't know you could do that. Alright, time for everyone's favorite pirate. Tempered Sword making this fight a lot more tolerable than it otherwise would be. Alright, we know SuperNinTaylor is not going to find a darn thing here in Skull Woods. So, probably going to be checking some more Overworld, or might go straight to Swamp. Alright, map there, which means our big key, or our big chest rather, in Swamp does have something. Sorry, Teto. Alright, so Teto deciding to just not worry about that big chest at all, which is interesting. That could come back to bite him. Looks like we're going to have a pod check along with a green pendant turn in, if I had to guess. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor heading straight for Graveyard Ledge, which is kind of an interesting choice. It's only one location rather than Swamp Palace's plenty. Although there wasn't a whole lot in Swamp to give us direct progression, so we'll see how this turns out. Oh, Mitts on Graveyard Ledge. That is a massive find. And that's fairly out of the way. Meanwhile, Sahasrara just giving us a whole boatload of money for our green pendant. May have been a brooch of some sort. SuperNinTaylor getting trolled really hard by that red Cyclops. Don't recall what their official name are. Alright, so we've got a catfish check over here, and Teto is going to run through pod real quick. We'll see if Teto is going to attempt to manage the turtle room, and if he does, if he manages to succeed. He's going to be a little better equipped with the tempered sword, a couple more hearts, and the cane of Burna that SuperNinTaylor did not have at the time. So we'll see if perhaps Tito's a little more successful. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor grabbing those mitts and headed straight to Dark Death Mountain. Thank you for the information. I'd forgotten that they were called Hinoxes. Or Hinoxi. Don't know what the plural is. I think I'm going to go with Hinoxi because it sounds cooler. Or more preposterous, which is by and large the same thing. Anyways, we're going to get some checks here. Dark Death Mountain. Going to go to Super Bunny Cave first. Oh, 2 more checks down and nothing useful so far. Although honestly, this race has been insane with just the crazy different routing that both of our runners have chosen to take. I'm definitely enjoying the alternative plurals you guys are coming up with. He-noshes gave me a good laugh. Alright, so it looks like we're going to have a spike cave check, which is nice. 1 more new check for us. There we go, that heart will come in handy a little bit. Meanwhile, Teto is going to go have fun with our turtle friends. Or alternatively, just blow them all to high heaven. Alright, 1 more left. You can find it. There we go. Alright, turtle room done. Yep, and chat calling it. It does look like SuperNinTaylor is going to head over to Swamp, which will be nice. Grab a couple items he'll need in there. Never mind. Looks like he's gonna go do our big red bomb. That's not a check I'd even considered. I'd forgotten what our 5-6 crystals were. Speaking of crystals, Teto goes ahead and grabs his third. I suppose if you only have one leg, then your trouser choices aren't plentiful. A mail upgrade, which is honestly not bad, all things considered, but probably not what SuperNinTaylor was looking for. Sorry guys, you can't tell me to get out. I'm the only one here right now, so you guys are stuck with me for the foreseeable future. If it makes you feel any better, I know I'm pants at making jokes. Terrible humor aside, it looks like SuperNinTaylor is again walking by Swamp, which is really unfortunate. Alright, SuperNinTaylor grabbing another medallion under his belt, so that's 2. Still missing Quake, which is one of the items over in Swamp. But for now, two down's not bad. I wonder if and when he's going to head over to the mire area, take advantage of the flute and the mitts that he currently possesses.
Well, even if he were heading over to the mire area, he wouldn't be able to finish mire because he does not have Volcano Samaria. Teto does, and I would believe that to be in Swamp Palace.
That is a fair point, but on the flip side, he does have the mirror, and boots locking aside, desert would be an option if he really wanted to go that route. Also, welcome back.
Yeah, sometimes, well, leave it at that. Bet to comment on something in chat. Like prisons, that's all.
Grab your cheese and quackers. The duck is unstuck.
And now we see the hammer pegs.
You were, by the way, correct about Graveyard Ledge, as it possessed the Titan's mitts.
You see, that's why in these rando seeds, and this can be really tough at times, is that you gotta be able to. Sometimes it's tough to keep track of all locations, and if you miss something, there's a non-zero chance you last location something. And we get ourselves a fake powder. This advantage will be for Teto. NinTaylor cannot do this, so what is it? Oh my! The fire rod! That is super huge. Powder could be anywhere. Like, it could be up in Turtle Rock, it could be in Mire, it could be in Ice. could have just potentially saved a TR double dip.
That's fair. We'll have to see where that powder ends up. That'll determine how amazing of a choice that was from Teto. You know, there's one check we haven't seen so far, about an hour and 2 minutes in, and that is Agnes Cave.
So to answer chat, the reason NinTaylor cannot fake powder is that he already turned the mushroom in. And it's Quake to get into Mire, which NinTaylor doesn't have. That's kind of a fortuitous break for him because it keeps him from going farther down the rabbit hole to dungeons we know he can't complete.
Yeah, that's a fair point. The best he could hope for in Mire at this point is the lamp, maybe? But even that wouldn't help. He still wouldn't be able to complete it.
Whoops, I don't think NinTaylor meant to do that jump.
Alright, so Teto taking full advantage of that fire rod and gonna go take out our favorite Mothula buddy.
All I'm gonna say is that Moth is, well, I'll talk more about it at this fight, but this fight can really be not fun. Especially when you're playing this outside of any Randomizer that doesn't have a boss shuffle.
On the flip side, the longer Teto takes to find those mitts, the more stuff he'll be checking that he doesn't necessarily need to. So that is one advantage SuperNinTaylor has at this point.
Well, this is interesting. Desert has a small key that's boots locked. And is boots locked.
Interesting, so boots are going to be out there somewhere.
So that's one more item we need to find. So those Titan mitts do not put Teto in go mode just yet.
Don't worry, boots are going to be sitting here at Checkerboard Cave, or Agnes Cave for that matter.
Or on pedestal with how this seed's going.
Yeah, at this point, that may be...
Okay, okay, you called that one. You called that one. Hats off.
I'm gonna pretend like I knew that was happening. Woo! Alrighty, we'll take it.
So now, we get on to the Moth fight, which is done. Any damage Mothula takes that sends it into the spikes gets nullified, which makes this fight in this room awful.
So that's actually really interesting, because since SuperNinTaylor grabbed that from Checkerboard Cave, he's probably feeling pretty good, given that he grabbed the mitts in kind of an isolated location. Flute was over in Pod, and then he ended up grabbing the mirror somewhat recently, so he's probably feeling pretty good. Unlike how he would have felt if he'd grabbed it from Agnes Cave. Which I still don't think he's checked, so there's that. This also could very easily become a triple dip of Desert, as I'm pretty sure this isn't going to be the lamp. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big key. Although, to be fair, he never really left the desert area. He just had to go into a corner, get some new footwear, and then he's good to go.
You know, I'd love to call Lamp in Agnes Cave, but I feel like that's pressing my luck a little too much.
So NinTaylor leaving Desert for now, knowing he just has the final area. Considering he also has to do Mire and can't get in, that's fine. He has to come back anyway, so he might as well come back and do the 2-for-1 as Teto is closing in on something big.
Yep, in just a moment here, Teto is going to be one required item short of go mode. Obviously ignoring the lamp, because everyone does.
Unless you absolutely need it. Or don't trust your dark room luck. King's Tomb turned out to be just arrows. Teto has the mitts.
So at this point, it looks like SuperNinTaylor really doesn't want to go Independent Swamp, and although I can't blame him, it's gonna hurt him the longer he stays out of it.
And Bonk Rocks turned out to be vanilla. This is the play. NinTaylor heading for Swamp. At the time, Teto did not have a fire source and was not able to hit Harapot after a couple of attempts, so he opted to move on.
Which doesn't seem to be a big deal, as I'm fairly certain there was nothing overly useful in Tower of Hera that SuperNinTaylor did find.
Yeah, there was nothing important. Probably the big highlight would be a shield upgrade, which I believe for Teto would be the Mirror Shield.
That is correct, it would be. So now the name of the game for SuperNinTaylor is going to be, where is that powder?
Yeah, he's going to get some good stuff here, but it's not going to be enough at this point. Maybe he gambles TR or Dark Death Mountain, because I do not believe we've seen Dark Death Mountain yet.
No, we have. That was handled by SuperNinTaylor, and there was absolutely nothing there.
Yeah, so at this point, his best option would be after this, just go for TR and hope that the hunch on a double dip is the correct hunch. Because right now, that's what's looking like to me from where I'm sitting. Unless this seed's doing a double nasty and sending us up for a blind ped pull for powder.
That's a fair point. I wasn't going there. I was just thinking potentially Powder could be sitting in Ice Palace, which would also not be fun, but not quite as bad as Powder in Turtle Rock, in my opinion.
Well, unfortunately, the bird's not going to be affected by quakes, so no bird memes today. Unless it's getting hit by the bird out of the cutscene. Yep, I called that one.
I mean, at the very least, the bird only hits you once, even though it passes over you about 5 or 6 times.
There's Kana Samaria for SuperNinTaylor. That's Teto Sumeyer too. Going straight for the back.
Yeah, well, with all 3 medallions, Teto knows that he's in go mode regardless, so it's kind of a, let's just clear this stuff out and get this game over with.
Well, that'll help. Real quick, big key.
It's a shame we couldn't see an attempt at a hover there.
Not everybody knows how to do that, to be fair.
Oh no, most definitely not, but it's still fun to watch.
And Taylor's going back for the big chest.
Which is something, if memory serves, Teto did not do, and there is an item over here, so that could very well be the powder.
Well, if it is, that would actually make things a little interesting. No, it's just a compass.
Never mind. I can't count.
Yeah, since we don't know what's on left side, don't have powder. Powder could be there. I mean, could be an ice, could be an TR, could be a ped pull. I don't know, but either way, that one call by Teto to do the fake flip, to do the fake powder, mind you, is what's put him ahead at this juncture.
The crazy part is that's already the second time I've seen that for this tournament itself. Teto not having a whole lot of success with Spooky, unfortunately.
And don't blink, this Argus fight is going by super quick. Going for the Ice Rod variant of the quick kill. Just missed it. But he got the 2 cycle. And Teto taking a death in the Vitreous Eye Goop, going for the 0 cycle.
I think that's a situation where his stomach was a little bigger than his eyes right there.
I think you got that backwards, but that's neither here nor there. The problem with dying to Vitreous is that you gotta do Meyer 2 again.
Alright, so now it's going to be a point of Teto not getting tilted, taking a deep breath, and just continuing to clear things as he goes. Because honestly, until SuperNinTaylor finds that powder, Teto is going to be in a commanding lead.
And that powder was not green pendant, it was 300 rupees. Talk about getting an expensive treasure. And Taylor takes the bird down. That was smart.
Yeah, that's one little nuance you have to think about when Quake is your firing medallion for Meyer.
I think I've only done the Meyer Dark ones like maybe once or twice at most, and that Ice Rod Blast actually froze the enemy, so Taylor's gonna have to go back and take it out. There we go.
Yeah, the Ice Rod can be kind of finicky with what enemies it murders and what enemies it doesn't. Those Ropas being an enemy it does not work so well on.
Although a frozen enemy, if we can just throw some NMG knowledge out there, has a different set of prizes when defeated with the hammer than if it was just defeated otherwise, because being defeated normally would be your typical stun prize.
Yep, and I'm fairly certain that has been programmed into the randomizer at this point as well. Tito's still wanting to be careful. There's not a whole lot of magic left. Alright, good. Keeping an eye on that.
Yep, Teto does not want to lose a second time to this boss, and quite frankly, I don't blame him.
You know, that one little eyeball there was really kind of hiding. I didn't see that it was left over either.
Now it's just 8 arrows, and with that, Vitreous is down.
We are going to get to see a couple more items here in Meyer, and we'll see, well, maybe a couple of items. They both might be Firelock, which would be really unfortunate for SuperNinTaylor. I'm still hoping to see a powder somewhat soon to make this at least somewhat of a race.
Yep, because right now, the way it's looking is with Teto about to mirror to go back to the desert, this is a situation of the longer it takes NinTaylor to find the powder, wherever it may be, the farther behind he falls.
Yeah, at this point, it's looking like SuperNinTaylor got randoed, which is really unfortunate since I'm fairly certain the last game went the same way. It was a missed location on that point, but Sick Kid having Fire Rod is just not fun.
Yeah, I had a mislocation myself recently, and yeah, that feeling you get when a mislocation happens isn't fun. However, I can honestly say for this seed, it is a completely different story. This is not a mislocation. This is Teto just going for the sequence break and absolutely hitting a home run that we have seen happen before with this rando. And I've seen, and this is going to be the second time I've seen this in a race with NinTaylor, but this time NinTaylor's on the opposite end. It's really a question of where Powder is, which will determine how much time did Teto save.
I mean, at this point, I think our only real options are Ice Palace and Turtle Rock. And if it's in Turtle Rock, whew, that is a boatload of time, and even if it's an Ice Palace, that's still really not pleasant, and I'm ignoring the potential of it being on pedestal or something equally fully terrible.
Because right now, that's my only guess, is that it is someplace terrible.
I mean, Ice Palace and Turtle Rock are terrible enough, especially since Teto has no reason to go into either of those dungeons outside of actually clearing Turtle Rock. Whereas it would be a double dip for SuperNinTaylor. And if SuperNinTaylor's not careful, Vitreous is going to get its second kill between these two runners, only with a heart and a half.
Good one cycle for Teto against the Land Molars, using the spin of the Tempered Sword to finish the job.
Alright, SuperNinTaylor just did a bottle check and realized that there was nothing in any of those, so we are playing it really, really scary now, ladies and gents.
Yeah, this is what I would call playing with fire. Because this is a boss that can kill you when it wants to. Because that lightning is pure RNG, and if it rolls wrong, you don't have too many safe spots to go.
Most definitely not, but I think we are 8 arrows away from a successful, if slightly harrowing, Vitreous.
And it certainly was harrowing, as well as successful as right now Tito's on Death Mountain, heading to finish the job there.
No, I've got another question. Where's our lamp?
At this point, Turtle Rock. I'm fairly certain of it based off of what I've seen. Unless it's an Ice Palace, then otherwise I'm going to be asking, who rolled this?
Well, it would, if it's in Turtle Rock, either then so if it's in Turtle Rock, then it has to either be really, really early, or the powder has to be somewhere nearby. Because technically we shouldn't have the Fire Rod right now, which means Tower of Hera would be not completable. So from the game's logic, if the lamp is in here, it would have to be not Fire Rod locked, as well as the powder for either of those, really, because you know, powder leads to Fire Rod, which would be our alternative fire source.
So if it's not here, it's an ice for sure.
Or Ped, obviously. That's always an option for powder, at least.
Well, there's a small key, so based on the Fire Rodless logic, we would still be able to go on.
Yep, it can't be up in this upcoming room here, but it could be in our chain chomp room. SuperNinTaylor perhaps whiffing intentionally there since he didn't need to hit it.
Oh, I guess that's possible. I was like, why is he shooting that arrow? He whiffed it. Oh, he already opened it. Never mind. Now, he may be going for a hammer and medallion combo here. Well, there's the lamp, so...
So we know that... Well, we know that the powder isn't fire source locked. So the powder can... Oh man, that is not fun. So the powder's got to either be like right here or in Ice Palace. Because, the lamp being there, being behind Fire Rod, means that it cannot be on pedestal. Because you would need either the Fire Rod or you need the lamp to be able to beat Eastern Palace to be able to pull the ped.
Come on, Chain Chomps, get out of the way. And we would get to continue on without the Fire Rod. So, the big key's coming up, and it's gonna be vanilla. We know that.
Which means that Mimic Cave is another potential location.
Yeah, this is the sort of seed that makes your brain hurt just trying to follow the logic.
Yeah, this is a seed where you might just say, all right, we're just going to go ahead and sequence break a little bit and then ignore logic.
Certainly the best way to play the seed, in my opinion, as that big key means that NinTaylor going to TR would have all the way up to, by logic, Crystal Roller, but knowing that NinTaylor knows the dark rooms tells me that that wouldn't be an issue, but it wouldn't be past there.
Exactly. So we're still looking at maybe Mimic Cave, which Teto probably isn't going to check, honestly. There's really nothing that could help Teto out a whole lot. Half magic would be nice. Butter would be minimally useful. Silvers would save a little bit of time, but that's not a check we're going to see. All right, so we get to keep going.
So now the question is, as NinTaylor is running through Eastern, cannot fault him for this, unless he's making the play for the pedestal at this point, which I could see being a possibility. Hasn't paid off for me yet, but who knows. Oh, wow. This TR would have allowed you to go all the way to Laser Bridge. So we know it's not in TR.
Right, so it's basically Ice Palace right now. Because it can't be Eastern because one fire source is locked behind the other. And you need at least one of them to get through Eastern to Armos. So we're basically looking at Ice Palace right now for where the powder is, which, oh man, that's not pleasant.
Yeah, this seed's pulled a very unpleasant, nasty that Teto managed to cut through with a sequence break.
You know, Chad is bringing up a good point. We still haven't seen Agnes Cave or Left Side Swamp.
I don't think we're going to see those today, to be honest. This may be one of those seeds where we just don't see it. Although I can be honest with you, that feeling of last locationing a key item, a feeling that I've been seeing too much of personally, super unpleasant.
Yeah, most definitely, especially in a 1v1 environment. It depends, though. Teto still has probably... Oh, that's not fun.
Trinex decides to be rude and says, nope. Thankfully, not back to the start of the dungeon, but rather the re-entry point at the big key chest.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could be. So as I was going to say before Trinex went and took a bite out of Teto, Tito's sitting on at least 20 to 25 minutes more of Rando. And I'm fairly certain that SuperNinTaylor is going to find the powder in that time. Which means that we're either definitely going to see all those locations we listed above, or we're going to find the powder somewhere else. But either way, I'm almost positive that SuperNinTaylor is going to find that powder before Tito's finished.
Jury's out on that, as NinTaylor is approaching the Armos fight, which without silvers, the kill you get with the bow is your basic NMG kill. Don't blink or else you'll miss it.
Pretty much. With as quickly as this goes, I wouldn't exactly call it a basic kill, but they're up and down really fast. Alright, so given SuperNinTaylor's play, I wouldn't be surprised to see an Ice Palace dip at this point. Just go full out, complete Ice Palace, go pull the ped. Because he's probably thinking that if it's in one of those locations that he didn't check, be it Left Side Swamp or Agonist Cave, he's probably just flat out lost. Obviously, SuperNinTaylor not knowing that Teto went ahead and skipped those locations as well.
And we are not starting the game just yet because Tito's going to mirror outside of Hera, make the climb, defeat Moldorm, and then we can start the game. So hold your horses on guessing just yet.
Yep, and we know the big key is sitting in the coffee break room, so it's going to be a couple minutes. Speaking of which, looks like SuperNinTaylor is headed up to Turtle Rock. We know he's not going to find anything there. Although, I guess Mimic Cave is an option for Magic Powder. That's the only location we have not seen yet.
So we're not quite done with the unique locations just yet, but we shall see. And Magios, I've also done that, and my head hurts afterwards. Key sanity, that is.
As a general rule, I don't use a tracker, and key sanity can be sometimes painful, but usually fun as well. Alright, this is where the fun comes in, guys. We'll get to see if Mimic Cave is our magic powder. You know, there's also the option of us finding something terrible on Pedestal or on one of these other locations, e.g., like the book, and having our powder be on a pendant, what do you call it?
Tablet.
Oh, help me out. There you go, a tablet somewhere. That's also an option.
Well, right now, it doesn't matter how you spin it, that is just an unpleasant feeling.
Yeah, SuperNinTaylor is not going to feel happy once he finds and turns in that powder. Or once Teto GG's and he ends up hearing that the powder is, in fact, the key to success. SuperNinTaylor's Wild Goose Chase, though, has given him much more health.
Teto went for a faster strat through floor 5, falls back into the petting zoo. As for this Moldorm fight, it'll be 1 slash, 1 spin. Or 3 slashes. Good save.
Yeah, given the way Moldorm is acting right now, this could be interesting, even with Tempered.
Shall we start guessing now that the boss is exploding? Yeah, I think so, because it's gonna be quick. Get your guesses in, folks.
Alright, what's your guess?
I'm going 9.
Alright. I want to see some more randos, so I'm going to go ahead and say 22.
Ooh, is that a tile room?
I mean, it might not be a tile room. I don't know what order Tito's going to check them in.
So unfortunately, they still haven't fixed the bot, so is what it is.
I was wondering if SuperNinTaylor was going to remember to check Mimic Cave.
Got a small key in the hope chest, and Tito's going right side. I mean, if you're wrong about this play, you only lose a minute, but if you have this option, you go full left, and it's on the right, you're losing 3 minutes, which is painful. And that's just a single repeat. What a ripoff. Mimic Cave, a complete and total bust.
Hey, you could mark that off the list. You know, the terrible thing for SuperNinTaylor is that because he doesn't have the Fire Rod, he doesn't know that the lamp is Fire Rod locked. So he cannot, by definition, mark off certain locations when looking for the Fire Rod that he would be able to if he knew that the lamp were sitting here, Fire Rod locked in Turtle Rock.
And there's the silver arrows. That's another way right side can pay off if you're looking for silver.
Alright, either way, that is 6 locations down. Still no big key. We're about to have Bob's Torch. Nope, nothing there.
Number
Alright,
7 is just some cash. Maybe a bribe. Either way, that's a bit small. And I don't take bribes.
Neither does Teto, so no worries there. We will also get to see a laser bridge check, which is something Teto... Oh, there we go!
Son of a monkey. I was actually right. I called 9. It was 9. Wow. And no, I do not play the lottery, and that is not going to convince me to play the lottery either.
Hey, you were the first person to guess it correctly as well, so kudos to Leslie Pro.
As did our tracker, OzGeek, so I guess it's a combo victory. Okay, I've got combo rando in the brain all of a sudden. Ah well. And Taylor sees the bad news, has to move on.
So at this point, I think all he has left is Ice Palace.
Based off what we see in chat, Laser Bridge was rubbish.
Yeah, completely and totally useless. Nothing even remotely worth anyone's time. Alright, strap yourselves in for a long Ice Palace, boys. We don't even have Fire Rod.
And something tells me the game wanted you to do this by logic.
I mean, the game always wants you to do stuff by logic, and usually it's very unpleasant. SuperNinTaylor, I believe he has a blue goo. I'm pretty sure he went and bought one from the Witch's Hut, so he should be okay on magic.
And we start this Ice Palace off with a map.
That's about par for the course. And these land mullahs are really giving Teto a hard time.
Yeah, they were definitely giving him the business.
And Teto going through perhaps the most satisfying rooms in the game.
What is satisfying is getting that Stalfos kill, getting them both with one bomb.
That is fair. Also a very satisfying room to complete. Alright, so we both had a witch moment today. I called Boots, you called Big Key. I think we're about even.
Sounds about right to me. As here goes Teto for Moldorm 2. And for those missing it, the Fire Rod was a magic bat. Teto doing a fake powder to get it. We don't even know where powder is just yet, although I think we're coming up close to finding it.
Yeah, basically at this point we need to find either powder or book. That is pretty much all we have left. Alright, that's one item.
Nice triple to start for Teto. Ooh, that would have been a double triple if not for that blue ball.
And there's that freaking powder. We found it. Ice Palace.
It was in ice as Teto gets a very solid 3-cycle on Aga 2. And the book was there too. Sometimes with this randomizer, I honestly just shake my head and know that game, you are being such a noun.
I'll tell you what though, SuperNinTaylor is almost definitely still going to complete Ice Palace at this point. Go ahead and at least read the ped, maybe blind pull it. Probably not feeling great about his choices, because even if he hasn't considered the point of something useful being behind powder, knowing that this is the last pendant he's come to complete probably doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it never feels good when you're in this position. Because I've been doing been on the blind pulls lately myself that haven't paid off. As Teto gets a very good spot for phase 2. Has to take another cycle though. Good thing Tito's got a blue potion. As for SuperNinTaylor, Cold Stare is down. And with that, that's 3 pendants.
That was a very nice Cold Stare murdering.
No, that's not burn a damaging Ganon, that's the Tempered Sword doing that.
Yeah, you need at least Tempered Sword damage to hurt Ganon, so even a Master Sword swing won't do it.
And Teto takes a Hyrule Driver. And that's going to be a death to go back into the Ganon fight one more time.
Yep, SuperNinTaylor headed straight for Ped, so we'll get a Ped pull, or at least a Ped read.
We know it's dead, though. But that's not going to stop him.
I mean, at this point, if I were in SuperNinTaylor's shoes, I'd be thinking, alright, I'm pulling this, and if it's not something, I'm just going to be looking for that dot done any minute now.
Yeah, but he's just going straight in for the pull.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because he knows that if this pull is nothing, he's probably in trouble. And there's your piece of heart.
Yep, it's a pedestal piece of heart. Where does he go first? Back to Death Mountain. Ether Tablet. Might be thinking this for, well, for convenience, but it's not going to be it, unfortunately for him.
I feel like at this point, SuperNinTaylor is going through what are the worst locations that my fire rod or lamp could be at? What are the worst possible locations that Teto would try to avoid if he at all could? I'm going to go to those first because that's my best chance.
But for Teto, down goes Ganon. We got Bacon. And we've got a 2-0 series winner, Teto. I'll get that SRL time momentarily. That SRL time is 1:42:55.
Go ahead and get your GGs in chat for Teto. I imagine that SuperNinTaylor is not quite done pulling his hair out yet, as it looks like we're probably going to get a left side swamp look.
This could also be a Bombos play.
That's a fair point. Probably will leave left side swamp, so Bombo's tablet is most likely correct. Good call. Yep. Oh man, it's rando races like this that make me feel bad for our runner. SuperNinTaylor just completely and totally got randoed.
Yep, it happens to all of us, some more than others, some more than we would care to admit. Oh, that was half magic. Not what we're looking for, but not terrible, as the roast bird leaves behind 10 arrows.
I mean, half magic is better than nothing.
Yep, this is left side swamp, which will answer the questions as to what was here. And you can't find Safety Cape because you had to defeat Aghanim to get that at Lumberjack.
Yeah, Cape is one thing we're not going to see picked up. Alrighty, and we are joined in the box by Teto. Teto, GG.
GG is, oh man.
You know, that fake powder saved your butt.
Yeah, I know. It was the second lucky thing happened in the both races. First one, SuperNinTaylor just forgot a sick hit, and this time it was this fake powder.
Yeah, in this instance, it was a play that you made to save yourself several minutes and lots of aggravation trying to find the powder. And we do know where that powder was. Shall we fill you in on that?
Yeah, sure. Where was it?
It was in Ice Palace.
Oh,
right before you went upstairs to get the book. So the bait was also there too.
Yeah. I somehow hoped that it might be an Ice Palace, far off from every normal check you would do. So I hoped it could be enough, but my execution went straight downhill after the first deaths, and I was shaky, hoping it could be enough.
Yeah, this seed was not exactly friendly in giving you health or mail upgrades. We do know that one of those mail upgrades was sitting on Pyramid Fairy. The other one is still somewhere, probably Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, But to be honest, 3 of those 4 deaths could be avoidable. It wasn't that much to defeat Twinix, for example, or use the blue potion in Maya, but I struggled so hard.
It's okay. We all have days of acting like we don't play this game a lot. It happens to everybody. As of right now, currently for our 20-minute behind timing, SuperNinTaylor is still looking for the fire rod. He's currently doing left side of swamp. So he's still that fire rod's still missing at large for him.
Oh, that's so unlucky.
Mm-hmm. We've all who've played this game have literally gone through this type of run of luck where whatever turn we make is just not the right turn. I swear, it's like ever since the new version of the logic came out, it's like I'd say luck has become a larger element now than it ever has.
I think that might be true to a point. I also think that because it's a new version, people haven't quite figured out the meta yet. And I think give it maybe another month or two, and people are going to start to understand, okay, these are the items that by and large have nothing, and these are the items or the locations rather, that are kind of skewed towards key items. And then we'll start to see some sort of pattern come out. But right now, it's just kind of a free-for-all.
It might be back to the
Yeah.
Go Pendant Palace and clear something there. Might be a progression item.
And SuperNinTaylor just grabbed his fire rod and is probably feeling not so great about the 50 rupees he picked up from the mushroom.
Yeah, I would not be feeling great about that. And with that, I can confirm that SuperNinTaylor has called it a race and has forfeited. I cannot blame him whatsoever.
Yeah, at this point it's more of an, okay, I found out where everything was, now I'm done. This seed was terrible. I'm calling it.
Yeah, this seed was just atrocious.
But I had to rely that the seed is going to be something like this because SuperNinTaylor he's a great player, and he outformed me in his execution, and I have to go with the lucky routing play, and this somehow paid off.
Well, I mean, all routing plays are lucky if you end up being right. So there's something to be said about being right more than the average person. We call those people good at routing. You could say it's partially luck. You could say it's just kind of having a feel for the seed. But if you can consistently pull up key items faster than other people, it's going to help you out either way.
But in the fast stretch, he's even in the routing at least a bit better than me. I tried something off at the beginning again, like Eastern. I'm not sure if he went through it again also. I don't feel like this might be enough for a race like this against SuperNinTaylor, but yeah.
Either way, you did end up with the victory. It looks like SuperNinTaylor might be joining us in just a moment. SuperNinTaylor, I am so sorry you got randoed.
It's all good. Rando likes to rando sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I watched the end of it after I forfeit, and I don't know. I stopped doing the fake powder a long time ago because this rarely ever pays off for me. I guess that 1 in a million seed it'll help, and I guess I kind of got unlucky with that.
So, did at any point you start thinking, oh man, I might be looking for powder?
just thinking I'm looking for fire rod. I mean, when I found the powder, I was like, okay, maybe. Then I found the book, I was like, okay, maybe that as well. But I was really hoping it was pedestal.
Yeah, at that point I saw the blind pull and I was like, well, he's probably thinking if it's pedestal, I'm okay, and if it's not, we're probably in trouble.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking. I felt like I might have been behind anyway, just because I know Teto was saying he was having execution issues, but I was as well. I don't know what's going on with my D-pad, if I need to tighten it, but every once in a while, like, I would just lose my D-pad inputs. I would just stand still for half a second. It was a little frustrating. I figured it was either close or I was behind. I wasn't sure. That's why I skipped left side swamp at the beginning and all that.
Amusingly enough, so did Teto, and I don't believe either of you checked Agnes Cave either, so that was kind of interesting to just not know if there was something sitting there.
I would have checked it after the boots I found in in checkerboard.
I was planning on checking Agana, and I found the boots, and I completely changed my route because of it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and check the boots locked things in desert, and I guess I did forget about Agana.
Yeah, I just ended up with being in maybe go mode after finding the mids, and just checked Desert Palace and saw it was boots locked. So boots were my go mode.
I mean, not nice.
Yeah, I'm feeling so bad because yeah, you're a great player, and with two pretty lucky gamble things, I just want this this matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see each other in 2 weeks again.
Yeah. I mean, the first race was my fault. Second race, that fake powder, I guess. You made the move, I didn't. Yeah, I've had it work out for me once before, I think, where I absolutely destroyed someone in a race because I did fake powder and they didn't. This time I'm on the other end of it.
Yeah, if memory serves me, you skipped the pedestal powder on that particular seed. I think I was on commentary for that one too, so... that's Rando for you.
Pedestal powder would have been pretty cool.
So the amusing part about this whole thing that you may or may not know, depending on how much you guys chatted in SRL, is that the lamp was fire rod locked in Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah, I heard you mention something about it when I tuned in after the race. I heard you say fire rod locked, but I didn't really hear where it was. But I guess that makes sense. And once again, Turtle Rock stringing me along, just like last seed.
Yeah, we were actually, because Teto went through it first, we were kind of sitting there doing the logic, like, okay, if SuperNinTaylor comes up here and doesn't have the fire rod because it's not in logic to have it yet, how long is he going to get strung along? And then, sure enough, small key, big key. I'm like, oh man, this one's going to be rough.
So I guess I'm not out of it yet. Gotta make a run for it now.
Yeah, you're really good. You have awesome execution by and large. So you definitely have a shot. Just keep playing, and hopefully we'll see you up in the bracket stages. And to you, Teto, GG on your series win, and I hope it keeps going well for you as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, but we will see. I think SuperNinTaylor, we will see each other again. I have the feeling like this, and you can take your revenge there.
Maybe, but I mean, if you win your next series, we wouldn't see each other till the...
Yeah, but ifs and whens, and after these two somehow luckies, I'm not that confident yet, but we will see.
I got faith in you. I think you'll do it.
Thanks a lot. But I definitely think you will make it to the brackets.
I hope so. It'd be nice. I'd like to keep playing. If not, then oh well. Next year.
I'd certainly love to see a rematch, that's for sure.
All All right, so did either of you guys have any last words about the seed or in general?
No, I'm gonna try to forget about the seed.
I can't say I blame you.
I still
Yeah.
feel so sad and so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh god.
It's all good. It happens. It's random.
Yeah. But thanks for the commentary. And of course for the tracking.
Very much, and thank you guys for running it, because if you didn't, I would just be kind of sitting here talking to myself, so it all works out.
Well, same here, basically. So before we get out of here, give our runners a follow, both Teto and SuperNinTaylor. They put on quite the show for us this evening, and we'll be playing more Rando Seeds in the future as they proceed through the group stage of the tournament. They are Group AE, for those wondering.
Yep, and for those of you who haven't gotten your full fix of Rando, we do have a game that started about 30 minutes ago on SG2, Dr. Marty O versus Voosh, I believe. Might be mispronouncing that. If so, then I am terribly sorry. We also have a race starting in just a minute here, quite literally, P-Train versus Divisines, that's SG4, and then we have another race coming up on this channel, SG3, in just a half an hour, Sabotender versus the Sabin. We do have another couple races that are sitting on later in the night, but those are the three that are up or running.
Well, let's just say that if you guys want your fill of A Link to the Past Randomizer, you're in luck, because there are a number of races on the docket tonight.
Yeah, so definitely go check those out. And again, give our runners a follow and give our tracker Osgeek a follow as well. Pressing the buttons, doing the job that no one loves but still needs to be done. So kudos to them. Anyways, I believe that is all for me. Leslie Pro, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
It's gonna do it for me, and if you want to give the comms to follow, go right on ahead as well. This seed, well, rando's gonna rando. That's really all I can say about that, because that's basically what happened here. And so with that, I'd say it's time to get on out of here, get a bite to eat or something, or catch another race, because we are wrapped up for the evening. For Osgeek, our tracker, Hammer Bro, my commentary partner, and everyone behind the scenes at Speed Gaming, I'm Leslie Pro. Have a good night. Take care. Watch out for Lionels. They are deadly.